Darin, hey, we just
Hey,
watched the trailer for your film. Congratulations. I'm Chris Gore. By the way,
hey,
I'm Chris.
hey, Chris. Thank you for that. That's very kind.
And this is Alan Ing.
Hi.
He's my colleague at Film Threat. Hey, appreciate you taking the time
Chris
joining
and
us today.
Alan. Okay.
Yeah, to talk about your movie. And you're on a press tour here. Tell us what led to The Oath. This is sort of an era of history we don't know a lot about. It was a brutal, barbaric time.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, it's so untouched, really, in cinema that I'm unaware of any film that's really touched on this history. The Apocalypto crosses timelines briefly, but then continues way on past it. And then, of course, Last of the Mohicans comes like a millennium later. Our film feels a little bit like Last of the Mohicans. I think it's a love story. It's kind of a little bit of a Romeo Juliet kind of a story with some action. So it's kind of got all those elements. It's set in ancient America, 5th century AD, and yeah. So there's a lot we don't know about that time frame. There's a lot we think we know, but there's a lot that we don't know about that time frame. But we took that and created this story. We've got Hebrews in ancient America mingling with the native cultures that were there. And in our story, the two nations, that the antagonists to each other, they're actually from the same family. So it's a very interesting dichotomy where it's like they came from the same family. So it's very much kind of that Romeo Juliet kind of thing. But anyway,
Well, first of all, it's welcome to finally see a movie. We had a discussion earlier today. We were talking about how many movies have de-emphasized romance. There's a study. I don't know if I agree with the conclusions of this study, that Gen Z would prefer to see less romance in movies. I don't believe that study. I think there's an agenda behind it. I think, and it's one of the things we were talking about, romance is something it's been a part of cinema from the beginning. The fact that that's a part of your film is very encouraging to hear.
Yeah, and not just any romance either, right? It's I the way I put it is it's righteous romance. It's very uh, what's the word? It's 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 not like what you would think. It's kind of a, I don't want to say like pure, but it's just the words kind of fall to me. It's like a righteous romance. It's a holy romance, you know, where they have a commitment to each other, and tying it back to the oath. That's kind of what I hope. I think it's not possible to go away without at least some sort of feeling like, wow, oaths are important. And there was a time when we actually made promises to each other and we kept them. And to our God, I think we live in a society where we casually make promises and casually break them. And boy, the oath is like, man, it's going to make you think about that, you know?
Yeah, especially if you live in Los Angeles, a lot of people will say, "Hey, I'll meet you at so and so." Yeah, we should get together, and then it never happens.
Well, so frankly, there's a longer discussion there. But I mean, look, there's a lot of drug and substance abuse, and I think it's making people kind of dumb,
yes,
and making people uncommitted and not being able to follow through. There's just, look, life is hard, and people turn to those things. But The Oath is really a movie that's like, it's that inner soul, that inner power that you can tap into, a divine source of strength. So really want to convey that in the movie.
Well, congratulations on the film. It opens nationwide this Friday, December 8th, which is awesome. We've got over 800 people watching us live on YouTube right now.
Hey, awesome.
A lot. We've got a bunch of questions in the chat. We can take some of these questions.
Sure. Go for it.
Let's go for it.
This is fun.
Yeah. Solomon Thornton asks, "Greetings, Sir Darin. Any advice for beginning filmmakers?"
Absolutely. Just go for it. Go. I mean, look, the power is in the people. You can literally go get, I grew up, I budded through the DSLR revolution, where you can literally buy a camera for, a really nice camera for $1,000-1,500, get a couple lenses, and you can make that thing look awesome. You could shoot a movie with it. So go play around with it and do your homework. Read all the great books. There's so much information. I read all the definitive works I could find on script writing in addition to reading, Academy Award winning scripts, like the best scripts ever written, and just gleaning from the pros. There's no need to reinvent the wheel per se. You got to take all the people who have come before you, all their knowledge, and add to that, right? But you can't just go out there and jump in like you don't know anything. Do your homework first, and your odds of success will be much higher. But go for it, man. Don't step back, step forward. Yeah.
And Jeffrey Wolf asks, is this based on historical events?
Very fantastic question. It depends on your beliefs, right? It hails from the Book of Mormon, which many in the world think is just like a fantasy, whether it's historical fiction. Um, I grew up reading the book, and it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It's like the stories in it are some of the most powerful stories I've ever read, specifically as it pertains to heroic figures in a dishonorable time, and that's very fascinating to me. Whenever somebody can kind of shirk off the general trend of society to go backwards morally, and in other ways, where someone can stand their ground and like stand on principle and say, look, I'm going to stand here. This is right living. This is goodness, and you can join me. And I've always been fascinated with that, and that's full of it in the source material. So yeah, whether you believe that or not, but there's a lot we don't know about history. I mean, there's books out there that talk about Roman coins that were unearthed by farmers in America when we first got here, and that was before people were documenting that stuff really carefully. And I mean, think about that Roman coin in the heartland of America. What the heck's that doing here? You got a Decalogue stone in New Mexico with Paleo Hebrew writing. What is Hebrew writing doing in America? So there's so much we don't know, and we get into this thing where we can't learn anything more because we think we know everything.
Right.
And I always take I've tried to learn a lot in my life, and I always take the position that, hey, I want to learn from you. We had 70 people plus on this show. Most all of them were not members of my faith. And it was so amazing to work with them all. And we all had such different points of view. And man, don't we need that today? Like, don't we need to be able to talk to each other and stop fighting and be able to like hear each other? And it's okay to disagree. Right. It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to hate each other. We can disagree and love each other. It's possible.
Yeah, I'm fond of saying, we can disagree and coexist. And I think for some reason that's been forgotten. I got to ask, are you at a diner right now, at a restaurant? I hear kitchen sounds in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, don't be sorry. It's called good.
Yeah, I'm at Denny's too. Well, I'm on my way to a small premiere in St. George, Utah, honoring a commitment that I made when I did our pilot film there. He said, "Come back when you have your full film," and I said I would, and we're going. So it'll be a fun time. So sorry about the Denny's back. Did you want some pancakes or something? I'll order you something.
Akanika asks kind of a two-part question. What was the casting process like, and what was it like to work with Billy Zane?
Casting process, at least at this point in my career, I've really enjoyed direct casting. We had like a couple of kind of extras casting directors, but we actually didn't have a casting director on the show. First of all, Karina and Eugene were cast in my pilot film, so I already knew them, and they were already in. Ben Cross, as you know, passed away, so we had to fill his big shoes, and Billy was a perfect fit. He brought a very different side that Ben had taken, and it was a very awesome dichotomy between us both. Billy was somebody that one of our producers knew, and so we had kind of a connections there. And then Nora Dale, we auditioned, I don't know, I think it was like 12 or 1,300 girls. And she stood out. So she was the one that we cast. And then Wasai Chief, who has a smaller role, was also, she was picked from that same audition. So yeah, most of it was direct cast. The cast isn't really that big. So that was manageable. I think on a bigger film where we're casting like, maybe 50 cast or something, then definitely you're going to be having a casting director. But I feel like sometimes you have too much information, and so we can't make a decision. It's like going on Netflix and you sit there and surf around for a half hour and you're so dang tired, you just turn it off without even watching anything. And I think with casting, is in anything is similar. It's like there's too many choices, and so that's why I like kind of direct casting a lot of that. A lot of times, it's like you see, yeah.
For Darin, Josh L for $4.99 says, "Will the setting for your next film be a Denny's? I'd watch." There you go. From Rumble, $8.24. What was the distribution strategy for the film? Was it always planned to be a Christmas season release?
No, it wasn't. We wanted to get it out as soon as possible, but with a combination of really doing just so many test screenings and refining it. This film has been refined, and you're going to get what you pay for. Oathmovie.com, get your tickets. Don't do me any favors. Watch the trailer. If it excites you, grab a ticket. Oathmovie.com. I promise you, the score alone by Trevor Morris, two-time Emmy winner Trevor Morris, it's Oscar worthy. It's so good. It's worth the ticket alone. But then add to it all the spectacular cinematic images, and then yet all the other elements of the film. It's really a great experience. We did not plan for the December release, but so much of this process has been, it's actually unexplainable unless you acknowledge a higher power. It really is, because get this, we are releasing on December 8th. Ben Cross said something in our behind the scenes interview before he passed on December 8th. And when you see it, it's after the credits roll. When you see it in the theater, you'll be blown away. He said it on December 8th, the same day that we're releasing, which is just one of these amazing things. It's like, man, you can't orchestrate this, man, unless there's some higher powers going on. So yeah, it's I think I say this, it's the most thought-provoking movie that you will see this Christmas season. You will think after this movie.
Another question here from Joe Haas for $4.99 says, "Do you think story or messages are more important in a movie or film?"
Depends on where you're at, but I would say you have to lead with the story. And that's been a problem with somebody who really wants to get a message out, especially on, I think, the faith-based side. They tend to lead with the message, and they ask the audience to forgive the production value and everything else in the name of the message. Not all of them. I think Jesus Revolution was a phenomenal movie. It's like my favorite now, as far as a faith-based is concerned. But yeah, you got to lead with the story, because the story is what's captivating them, and it's actually going to allow them to feel something. And then, so there's always a message, and hopefully that message is something eternal, that's not just some flippant thing.
You can actually get tickets direct from the website, which is oathmovie.com. So I'm going to put the link in the description for this video, so everyone can share that. I'll put it in the comments too. But we have more questions here. Scott McKenzie says, "How difficult was this to get funded and get Billy Zane?"
Fundraising is the hardest part of filmmaking. And anyone who wants to be a filmmaker, you better be ready for that, because it is the hardest thing. We would have had this movie done 10 years ago had we gotten the funding faster. So it was arduous. We did 3 Kickstarters, and then we did a 4th crowdfund on our own website. It was just, we did the pilot film from the first Kickstarter, which raised the money for the rest of it. But that was the hardest part of this journey, probably, was the fundraising. And so, it was very difficult getting Billy Zane. I don't know how difficult it was, because, we had a direct contact through one of our producers. We got him the script, and he read the script and loved it and committed to the show. And of course, you have to, give them an offer that turns their head. And of course, we weren't able to give a whole ton of money, because we are an independent film, but we gave him a good amount of money, and so he came on board, and his insight was exceptional on set, and I really let him have the wheel a lot whenever he had some things to say and thoughts, and as I do with all my actors, because I want it to be the best product possible, and that takes collaboration. I don't have all the ideas, right? And so many of the nuance and amazing ideas came from our actors, and so it's very important as a director to listen to your actors. Yeah.
A couple more comments and questions. Hey, it's me, and HD says, "Wait, I hear Mr. Scott mentioned Apocalypto. If it's in that vein, then I will put this on my watch list.
Yeah, I would say it's absolutely in that vein. Yeah,
And
it's a little
Professor,
bit different setting, but yeah, kind of a Last of the Mohicans type of a setting where it's more kind of like uh, I don't know. We filmed it in New York, so that gives you an idea of the setting. But yeah, similar.
another couple more questions here. Professor Fear asks, how did you develop the fighting style for this little known period?
Manny Severio was our coordinator. He's done huge films, and oh man, he was just such a joy to work with. He was incredible. He did an amazing job with the fight choreography, and when you see it, I think everyone will agree when they see the movie. It's you're gripping your seat, man. Your blood's rushing. And he really took a style that, using the trees and the atmosphere, and he's like, these people would have used what was around them, and so our fight style and everything that's going on, we're using the trees. We're just really one with the environment, and it's kind of like a brutal, like throw a stone at you, or hit you with a club, and like, or yeah, I don't want to give stuff away, but it's I kind of wanted like at least as far as the hero character, I wanted him to have a little bit like Achilles in Troy, like kind of like a godlike fighting capability, and mixing that with kind of the different setting, right? So, but yeah, it was the fighting was brutal. There was scalping. There was lots of stuff going on that you know there weren't any rules.
And a last question here from Tom Siebert asks, so this is about a remnant of the 13 lost tribes of Israel making it to North America? He's asking.
Wow, Tom, my favorite question. Holy smokes, you nailed it. Yeah, so these two tribes come from uh, the line of Joseph of Egypt, believe it or not, and so they come from the same family, and so you have this ancient grudge between two brothers that kind of lasts, and they both start different nations, and that's how this starts. But yeah, they came from Israel.
Wow.
Isn't that
Well,
incredible?
you can go to oathmovie.com. As you can see from the visuals, you can buy tickets direct from there, see what theaters it's playing at in your neighborhood. You can also put together a group screening if you'd like, and or be a part of the street team. That's oathmovie.com. Darin, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Whatever you're eating at Denny's, I recommend the Grand Slam. Always like a classic to get that. But thank you so much for taking the time out and talking to us about your movie. Congrats on the big release on Friday.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody.
Great. Take care. Thank you so much.
Yep.